Greetings and salutations, guys. I am back. Here we are in Reaper again. So I'm just going to do a mix rundown of the song from the other video, my best mix of 2023. Just to show you what I used, how I went about getting the sounds, all that's the usual stuff. So again, in Reaper, you can see how many tracks I've got here. 22 tracks. It's not many. That's like people go overboard with 100 tracks and stuff, and I really don't think you need it, but that's okay. You know, each to their own. So for drums, I used, we'll start with the drums, like always. Actually, you know what? We'll start with the master mix bus here. Okay. So I use Neutron Elements on my master mix bus here. So bit of compression. That's my EQ curve. Don't ask me how I came up with it. I was just again using the ear like you always should, adjusting things, tweaking things, trying to get rid of frequencies that were sticking out to me. Little dab of exciter, not much. You can see when I play the song, only just a tad. Same with the compression. It's only just cutting out a few of those little peaks and stuff like that. So, all right. So, Neutron Elements on that. I know I'm not really explaining much here, guys. I'm just trying to give you a bit of a look at what I did. So for drums in this one, I used Hertz drums. Okay, I really like this the sound of these. They're really lively, really huge. I think you can tweak them a little bit more than Easy Drummer and stuff, so you can go into individual kits and mess with the room and the reverb of each individual kit piece. And I don't know, I just kind of like it for that aspect. So that sounds like this. So on that, I have a compressor from IK Multimedia, the White 2A. I like this preset. Again, using presets. I don't see the point in not using presets. A lot of people shy away from presets and that, but if you find something that works well for your song, use it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're there for. I like this preset called Magic Glass. Then I use the Master Desk plugin. This is a mastering plugin, but I find it just adds a tiny little bit of, like, I don't even change half the settings. It just adds a little bit of color to it and a little bit of just oomph to the drums. Neutron Elements, I'm boosting the bottom end a little bit just to give that kick a little bit more chunk, and a little bit up here and here at about 3K and about 600, just to get that snare really popping out. You know, I mean, if I solo this here, you can see it's giving that. If I solo, so it's just really hitting that snare really well. So just a little bit to get that snare to really snap through. I really like a snappy snare. Another thing I started using lately is the Sunset Sound Studio Reverb from IK Multimedia. I picked this up in the IK Multimedia Max 2.5, I think it was. It was on special. This was part of the T-Rax plugin. what I'll do is I'll get rid of the dry so you can hear what it's doing after everything that's there, what it's adding in the mix. I wanted to add a bit more room sound, and I really like this room that they're modeled here. If I bring the drums back in slowly, you can hear. It just adds a wideness to it that I really like. Again, you know, I'll put it to you guys that I don't really 100% know what I'm doing here. It's the sound. You know, you just listen for the sound, and if something grabs you, use it. You know, I think that sounds great. It just adds a lot more fullness to the drums. So if you listen on that, if you're listening on the headphones, you can hear that that's really out like wide and that, and it just adds some really nice sound to the drums. So I'll turn all these off so you can hear what the drums sound like just on their own without all the things that I've added. And I'll add one at a time so you can see the end product that I came up with. So as you can see, from the start to the finish, each thing is only adding a subtle amount of, you know, processing. But at the end product, it gives a nice punch. I really like that. Okay. I might do bass next. So bass is, I use my usual stuff. Again, I use the Sunset Sound Studio on this. For some reason, I really liked what this added. This time I used an isolation booth. I'll go through everything first. So again, parallax, preset. I like the sound of this one. Okay, this time I used from T-Rex the Black 76 black bass preset. Sounded great. For my bass EQ, I wanted to drop a little bit out here at about 150 and then really boost up here at about 4.5. It just gives it a nice spike. I'll turn all this off again like I did with the drum so you can hear how each thing affects the bass tone that I came up with. Again, I use Ozone Imager. Some people don't like this idea of, they like to keep the bass really in the center, but I think having it spread out just a little bit, because I usually have guitars left and right, having the bass spread out a little bit, like just not much, just a tiny bit in that center section instead of completely mono, just adds a little bit of, you know, bit more room in the mix, so you've got a complete wall of sound going. And then the Sunset Studio reverb here. Again, I'll solo it so you can hear what is adding there for the ISO booth. So you can hear it in the background. It's almost like a room mic on the plugin, so which is really good. Okay, so I'll turn all this off so you can hear just the standard bass tone that is there. Adding the compressor, the EQ, Ozone Imager. You can So you can hear how, again, everything adds a subtle amount, but all together as one. I think it sounds great. Again, personal opinion. Some people won't like that tone. I love that tone. So I think it blends really well with the drums. You can hear it here with the drums. And you can hear that bass isn't, completely and utterly mono. Like if I turn off the ozone and the sunset sound, you listen how mono that tone is right in the center, and it doesn't just fill out that little gap between the guitars. Some people like that, and that's okay. Like everyone likes their own mix. It's all about what's working for your song and what you like. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, this is the right way to do it, like some other people I've noticed on YouTube do. Oh, this is the right way to do guitars. This is the right way to do this and that. There is no right way in music, not at all. So I like it to be just a little filled out in the middle. To me, that's what I like. That's fantastic. Okay, guitars, heavy guitars. So for this, I used one instance of Soldano left and right, Neuro DSP Soldano SLO 100, which again, I've told everybody is easily probably, I like to say I don't have a favorite plugins, but for guitars, I always reach for this. You can get beautiful clean tones, fantastic heavy tones, awesome rock tones. This is probably the most diverse amp I think that like any plugin has, like for me anyway. Again, for me, personal opinion. Okay, so the Soldano sounds like this, left and right. So first I'll quickly show you what I've got going on, and I'll show you that afterwards. So that's the Soldano tone. And then the other left and right guitars are the Dudemeister from Amp Locker, which is Audio Assault. Okay, I would have to say that this is Audio Assault's best amp. In my opinion, again, I love this thing. It has such a good tone, really nice clean tones. If you haven't tried Amp Locker out, this is easily one of the best coming up like programs that you can get, and the price is phenomenal. Like they keep it so low. If you can pick it up, sometimes cheap as chips on sale, and it's such a fantastic sound. So the Dudemeister left and right. I always love to blend two amps, like have them both left and right again, and then so you get this really full sound. I'll show you my sound of my guitars. And you can see how clean that tone is. It's not really distorted. I haven't got a lot of gain. I keep the gain fairly low. You can see on the overdrive here, like the gain for the Soldano is only 2.5. Like there's nothing in it. Like it's barely, very gainy. And then with the Dudemeister, again, the gain is, so the gain's a bit higher on this because again, different amp. It's not really a really high gain amp, but I do have a screamer on it as well. But I try to keep that gain low just to keep the clarity really nice in the tones. As you can see from my guitar tracks here, I've got all 4 guitar tracks routed into one track. Okay. A lot of people say that you shouldn't process all guitars together, especially with EQing and that, but personally I disagree. It works for me. whatever works for you. I'm not going to sit there EQing every separate guitar. I'd rather try to get my guitar tones as good as I can using the amps, and then EQ and process everything as a whole on the guitar tones. If you've got good signal and good amp sounds, then you should be able to just polish the whole section as a whole, like I do with the drums. You know, I don't go in, I don't multi-track out for my drum tracks. I have it all on one thing, and then I just process it to sound good how I want, if that makes any sense. I like to keep things really simple. Overcomplicating things, you know, you start to make a mess of your mix, and that. Keep it as simple as possible, guys. That's all I like. That's my opinion. Okay, so on the guitars, again, I'm using the White 2A for the compressor. Master Desk plugin. It is a mastering program, again, like I said, but I just use it for compression and stuff like that, and it adds some really nice color. I don't even remember picking this up, but for some reason, I'm in love with it. Neutron Elements. This is my guitar curve. I only use the EQ on here for Neutron Elements. This is the guitar curve that I came up with. Again, just listening and tweaking, just using your ear to hear frequencies that sound horrible. Muck around with them, move them around, lift them up, lift them down, you know, see what's popping out at you. And again, using the Sunset Sound Studio plugin, again for the ISO booth. I'll turn the guitars down so you can hear what it's doing. I'll turn down the dry mix so you can hear what it's doing, and then I'll bring the dry mix in. Again, it's just filling out the room. It gives it a nice, really nice, like you've got amps sitting in an ISO booth recording, and it sounds really good, in my opinion, again. Just gives it some really beefy sound. So as a whole, that's... So guitar tones without anything on. The thing that'll make the most difference, 100%, is the EQ, okay? Because I'm cutting out a lot of the high hiss, a lot of the bottom end, and just peaking a little bit here and dipping out some frequencies here and there. So the biggest change you'll hear is cleaning up those guitars with an EQ. You should always clean up your guitars with an EQ, especially distorted guitars. Clean guitars are not so bad, but distorted guitars, you've got to get rid of some of that hiss and that high end and some of the bottom end just to give the bass some room. So playing without any of the processing on. So I'll turn that EQ on and off a couple of times so you can hear the difference that it's making. You can especially hear that high-end hiss. It's like you got to clean that stuff out to get your mixes clean. So there you go. That's pretty much guitars, guys. Nice and simple. Keep it, you know, as simple as possible. Again, I've got some sub booms down here just to accentuate the start of hit, like the start of bars. They're only subtle, not really over dramatic, but it's just subtle in there just to really... It's only tiny. Clean guitars. Surprisingly, I used bias effects on the clean guitars. I know I sort of bashed it a little bit in my review of bias effects, but I said even in that video, I love the clean tones. We'll go down here so you can hear this one. Like, I really like the clean tones. On here, I've just got a little bit of EQ, just cutting off the highs and lows, and a little tiny dash of compression. I download actually a preset that someone else made, and like if you've got bias effects, this is a great. You go to the Tone Hub store, whatever it's called, the Tone Cloud. That's right. And the James Hetfield Live Clean Tone. Look up that. It sounds fantastic in my opinion. It's just got a nice brightness to it. Sorry this video is going on for a bit, guys, but if you want to watch it, then you know that's all good. So in the back of here as well, I've got some used a mixture of archetype Petrucci and a mixture of Soldano as well, with an archetype Petrucci. Okay, so for here, I did use different drums. I used Easy Drummer for this, and I used the post metal. I love the toms in this. The toms, massive, huge toms. Snappy but subtle, sort of soft snare. And the cymbals are great because they're just so huge and they just blend in. So when I was doing this section, because it's got a nice, I do some snare roll stuff, and I felt like the Hertz drums was too big. It wasn't working for the section. So I decided to do Easy Drummer just for this section. It's got such a natural, soft-sounding tone. I really like that. I used my own preset Duffel Post Metal, which you can download. I'll put that link in the description for you. So, you know, like I said, the Hertz drums just weren't working for this section, and this is what I mean about you got to use what works for the things that you're doing in that, you know, in that moment. It's the same with the bass. I actually used a different bass plugin for this. So this is GK Amplification 3 LE. This is a free plugin. You can download this for free. I really like to see, like the Parallax, to me, it doesn't do cleans great. You can do it, but it doesn't do clean. They're not smooth bass cleans. You know, I really like smooth bass cleans when I'm doing clean sections. So I use the GK Amplification, which is free. And again, Ozone Imager, a little bit of compression, and the Sunset Sound Studio. So you can hear what that sounds like. As you can tell, I'm not a bass player, but you know, I just wanted to add something to it. So if you put all that together with Easy Drummer 3 as well, it just sounds a lot smoother than if I had to use Hertz drums. Alright, so over this I've also got some lead section. It's not really lead, it's just like a nice guitar diddly thing. I used one instance of Petrucci, one instance Gojira. Okay, I like to have two different amps and two different styles, especially if I'm doing something like this, just so that it's not just one tone coming at you. You've got subtle different tones. All right, so they sound like this. So that is pretty much my whole mix for my instruments. I'm going to switch over now because a lot of the times when I do some orchestral stuff in my songs, I'll mix all this down. I'll get my song perfect and then I'll mix all this down to a single file. My computer won't handle another 400 tracks of orchestral stuff as well, and more plugins and everything. So I mix all this down, get this song perfect, then I do another instance of Reaper to do orchestral stuff. So I'll switch over to that and show you guys. Okay, so back in Reaper. Okay, as you can see, this is my main mix down song at the top here. I did have a tempo change in the song, so when I mix it down, I've got to put the tempo change in exactly the same spot. It goes from 180 to 205. So, and then later on, I'll put them in another track and I'll join them together. All right, so as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of tracks here with a whole bunch of different things on them. I'll just do a quick rundown of what I use. So for this one, contact the free Orchestra. This is a free plugin. You can download it. That sounds like this. Just subtle things to fill out the sounds, you know. On this track here, I used like 6 instances of BBC Symphony Orchestra just to get different things. Here, again, a lot of these sounds you probably wouldn't even hear in my song if you didn't know they were there, but it's like a subconscious thing. You will hear it. It all adds to it. So just a simple, right at the start, just to accentuate that first hit, is just one note on a piano. And for that, I used the Mini Grand, another free plugin. I recommend go and download it. It is fantastic. Probably one of the realest sounding pianos in my opinion, especially for free stuff. Love that low note, but again, if I play it with it, you probably won't even hear it, but it is there just to add. So you can barely hear it, but it all adds together. So here I just add some guitar stuff. And then down here, I've just got so it's all experimentation, guys. This is a thing from Contact. Oh no, this is Expand 2. I can't even remember where I got this. I think this came with my M Audio keyboard that I bought. I think it came with it. I don't think it's that dear to buy anyway, but it's got like tons of just different things in it, and that I love that sort of stuff because I can experiment and put it in my songs. And like I said, you know, now if you didn't know it was there, you probably wouldn't hear it, but it is there. Then we have this one, which I believe is all done through Contact. Again, the free Orchestra, so this is free stuff you can download. This just has nice little sub hit. Again, very subtle. You wouldn't know it's there unless you really knew, but listening to it on the headphones when you just listening to music, all this subtle stuff comes together to add to the song to make it interesting. This one is another instance of expand. So that's another instance of expand. And that's pretty much all I got at the start stuff. So it's just all little things to enhance the song. Then up here we have a nice dropout section. I think on that one I used expand as well. Call to War preset. I really like that preset. So that's that. Then we go into, pardon me, then we go into the next section. So here I do a tempo change at 205. Now this took me ages to do because I'm not a piano player. And I sat there with the piano just working out little bits, and then I used my MIDI editor to adjust the MIDI to the way I wanted it to sound. So that's how I built the piano for the song. So I came up with this. I had to do them separate. So I've got the bass, like the chords of the piano on this track. Again, using the Mini Grand. You've got different reverbs, you've got different types of pianos. This is a free plugin. Different types of pianos. I'm pretty sure this is free. Maybe don't quote me on that. But yeah, so you got that. And then I overlaid with this. If I bring them together, got a little guitar going on there. And also got some sounds here, very subtle. Again, this is all just adding to the atmosphere of the song. I've even got down here some water sounds, and pretty sure they're in expand. The other sounds were in expand. It's a really good program, expand. If you can pick it up, it's really good. It's got so many sounds. But again, the water sounds, they're subtle. And if you put it within the mix, if you really listen, you can hear it. But if you don't know it's there, it's almost subconscious. And then I've got that really low rumble. Then up here, I think I've got some BBC Symphony Orchestra stuff. That's another great free plugin, guys. If you go pick that up from Spitfire Audio, you used to have to like subscribe to them or email them or something, then 2 weeks later they'd send you a code or something, but now I think it's just completely free. But I mean, it's got some amazing sounds. Like, especially for a free program. Like, if you're looking for cheap, guys, you can't get much cheaper than free. So you know, all right. So the one last thing I'm going to quickly show you guys is mastering. All right, now I'm not a masterer, something like that. But this is how I do it, okay? So I use an old version of Ozone. This is Ozone 5, I believe. This is before the advent of all the, the new ones that got AI stuff in them where you can analyze stuff and do all this stuff. So this is an older version. So you got EQ, you got reverb, you got harmonic exciter, dynamics, stereo imaging, post EQ, and you got a maximizer. Okay, so you can see my EQ curve there, just subtly boosting. If I turn this on, it might be loud. Sorry, guys. Okay, why isn't this working? Because I've got it turned off. Dumbass. Okay, so I'll turn this off. Now, like I said, this might get a little loud, guys, so just be wary of that. So I'll turn this on and you can see what happens to my mix. And now this is going to get really loud because I use TR5 the 1 underneath that as my limiter. Okay, so it's probably going to get really loud. I can't really control the volume too much. I'll try to change it in the video so it's not so loud, but so that's completely without. So that's mastering, sort of. I might do a video on how I did all this at some point. Because one thing, like, people ask how you get your songs so loud and how do you get so much dynamic in your songs and stuff. Mastering has a lot to do with that as well. I mean, you can have a perfect mix, but it might sound a little dead. Then you color it with mastering. So, I mean, as you can see here, we say the stereo imager, I'm widening the stereo sound, but only subtly, like, look, 7%, keeping the bass, like the low end down here, pretty much mono. A little bit of coloring, like a little bit of stereo imaging here. You can see it's spread out on this thing here when I play it. I'll turn this one off so you can just, so it's not as loud. It's only subtle, guys, subtle. Same with like reverb. Okay, I'll solo, like I've got a reverb on, I've got a theater reverb on, and it's only at 12.5% on the wet mix. Okay, so this is what it sounds, the wet mix sounds like, but it's quiet and it's subtle. So all I'm doing with that is just adding some noise into the mix, because you don't want it too clinically clean. It doesn't sound like a band. It doesn't sound natural. You want some you want some noise under there to actually, you know, give it almost a live sound. Again, my opinion. Other people will disagree. That's fine. I will never sit here and claim that my mixes are the best and this is the right way to do things, because it's not. It's the right way for me to do things. So you got all that noise that in the reverb there is underneath the mix. So you have all this extra ambience and extra noise happening that just makes it sound so natural. When you go see a band, there's things bouncing off walls, there's things bouncing off the, you know, if you're at a stadium, even off the back of the stadium, if you're in a small room, there's sound reverberating around and stuff. And that's what gives a live band that sound, that natural band sound. Everything's happening at once. And you want some of that noise in your mix to give it just that little bit of dynamic, you know, to make it sound a little bit more live. It's only subtle. If you didn't know it was there, again, you wouldn't know, but it is there. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there because this is going to turn into like the longest video I've ever done. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope this helped somebody. I don't know. Again, like I always reiterate, guys, this isn't the right way of doing things. This is just my way of doing things. You have to find the way that works for you to make your songs to sound how you want them to sound, not how you want other people to, you know, necessarily hear them. Always work on the basis of making your songs sound how you want them to sound, how you want to present them. You know, you've got to like them first. That's the main thing. It's your canvas, it's your picture, it's your, you know, everything. And don't mix for someone else, mix for yourself. That's all I can say. So I hope you liked the video, guys. Please like and subscribe. And as always, enjoy indeed. Thanks, guys.